to Divergence Equity Crayons episode 9. A kindly reminder, please have your cameras on at all time with full face visible. That will be appreciated. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll collect them and answer to our next Q&A episode. And the document, as usual, will be shared at the end of this one. So without further ado, I'll pass this on to Jody and Dara. Thank you.
I gotta put your head in the picture.
Thank you, Ravina.
Hi, loved ones.
Hello,
How's
everybody.
everyone doing?
Nice to see you.
Look at that, honey. It's the same faces.
It's the same faces.
Love it. It's almost like we're starting to get to know you. I'm like, look, honey, our family's coming online. Oh, that's wonderful. You want to start?
Okay, let's start. Well, fundamentally, we're making a lot of progress here, loved ones. Again, as I mentioned at the closing of yesterday's segment, we want to lay down a lot of this basic kind of stuff first, because as soon as we start getting into some more technical wording, some more technical phraseology, when we start putting some documents together, we're going to find that we're all going to make a lot more progress as a group if we're all more of an understanding or have more comprehension of what it is we're talking about. So I know it keeps feeling like, oh, we're just talking about the same stuff over and over again. Why can't we? Even yesterday, I was like, Jody's like, oh, what'd you think? I'm like, oh, I just can't wait to get to the meat stuff.
He's being so nice. He didn't say that. He's bored.
No, it's not.
Bless this man's heart. He goes, honey, I am so bored. And I'm like, I'm just trying to keep up to you, like to make your words understandable on some level.
And that's super important, because at least we're starting somewhere solid rather than just being all loosey-goosey and spread all over the map and have a little of this and a little of that, but no real complete nothing. I've tried it that way, Dean and I and many other ones over the past 20 years doing this stuff. And we found that, that becomes very consuming. That starts to eat away at your entire psyche. You can't escape this stuff as it is. So don't compound it by being fractured in the way we do things. I've come to appreciate that if we just followed a simple model and we actually stuck to it and we kept our hands inside the bus, we would actually have a lot less grief to go through, a lot less worry or headache or uncertainty. That feeling of uncertainty or being not sure, or, oh, I'm going to bed tonight. This is what it used to be for me. As I go to sleep tonight, is this the night they're going to kick the door in and come and arrest me? I was plagued with that for 10 years.
Most wanted list in Canada right here.
Not that was spiritually defeating for me, and it's not that I was afraid of jail or nothing or anything like that, but no, it was always a feeling of, have I made the most of my time before I get arrested? Because is there anything else I could have learned last minute that I haven't, that I've missed? And it's that feeling of, have I missed something? Oh, there's the police pulling into the driveway. See you later, honey. So that type of thing actually happened. I'm not making that up. But the cool thing is when you get to jail, you actually get to go,
I need some crayons and a napkin.
So I finally got to breathe for a while, because it's like, okay, now that that's over, now I can finally concentrate. And believe it or not, I was able to switch gears in jail. And Dean talks about that too. Now, don't get me wrong, loved ones. This is 10 and 15 years ago. This isn't how it is nowadays. I've been pulled over a bunch of times. Nothing's happening anymore. Lots of other loved ones are getting pulled over. They're having incredibly different experiences now. So what I'm saying is that fear of having to go to jail, those days are gone. Those days are long gone. We were even having tremendous successes before we started really getting into the equity heart of the matter. As soon as we did that, we just started hitting it right out of the park. And the judges are responding, and you can see it in the way the police officers behave, the way we get treated when you go do certain things now. So I want
you show up at Supreme Courts and they're all cleared out, reserved just for you.
Yeah, it's when they clear the entire courthouse out for you, there's something going on there. That's not normal behavior. And again, I've been to court a lot, and so has Dean.
This is all I know of it. So I know no different.
So,
than
yeah.
Courthouses being cleared out,
Yeah.
private rooms,
Yeah.
you're escorted, you're taken.
This one
It's
gets,
wonderful.
yeah, this one and Kim get treated a little bit different. They didn't get punched in the face and thrown down into the ground and dragged out in handcuffs and
Nope.
as we did.
Nope.
But point was, is we were, I don't want to say we were assholes back then, because that was Dean. That wasn't me. Just kidding. Dean had to go get him, bad cop, and I had more of the good cop attitude. So we had that. Actually, that was all planned. I stayed in the background for a number of years while Dean went public. This was all planned. So in case something happened, we were always going to be able to,
Which it did,
be in the best position we could be to help each other. And good thing we actually planned it that way, because it actually, funnily enough, it actually worked out exactly like that. So
did you just say funnily?
funnily, yeah, that's got to be a word. Maybe not in blacks, but it's probably.
Oh, we're learning new words, so we might as well learn.
But it's probably a word. Point being here, when we start switching gears here right away, when we start actually constructing some trusts, and we start talking about the different kinds of trust, like, I mean, we're going to get into, like, there's going to be 3 or 4 different types of trusts that we start talking about, and which ones we use when, which ones we're in right now, which ones we want to be in, how do we get there, what do we send to the courthouse for notices, how do we send notice without notice, what does that even mean? Well, we're going to explain all this stuff. So there's so much meat and potatoes coming. All I'm suggesting is, enjoy the broth while you get the broth right now, because pretty soon you're going to be choking on so much meat and potatoes, it's going to be coming out your ears. And again, that's what I think I'm getting pretty excited for. That's why I was saying it yesterday about.
You really need to work on your analogies just a smidge, just a tiny bit.
Okay.
All right, loved ones, here we go. Slideshow coming up. Can you believe it? We're on episode 9 already. Well done. The fact that our loved ones keep showing up. There's times when this one just starts spewing his absolute just waterfalls, and I just start twitching, and I'm like, okay, stop. And I literally have to go, okay, just stop for a minute. I need to breathe, because this energy can be very intense.
Yeah, it can build a lot of momentum very quickly, and you can start to feel overwhelmed pretty quickly. So again, this is why we're trying to, I don't want to say the softer approach, but we're
pictures. I yell a lot, use my hands and my face, try and distract you a little bit. Hopefully it helps, breaks up his red version of it, because this is the thing. And we've said this before, loved ones. If you listen to this man, you'll go, wow, it'll resonate on every level. And then at the end of it, I want you to ask yourself, now I want you to verbalize in 100 words or less what you learned. Good luck.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Because this one does it to me all the time. He's like, what'd you learn, honey? And I'm like, and I just have to I just do the slithering kind of movement, because I'm like, how do you put all of that, because that's what it is, into a lower vibrational this? That's why some of our family thinks we're crazy, because we haven't found the words for it. We don't have the language for it yet.
We're working on it though.
Yes. So let's give you, that's why we keep doing the recaps. You're not going to get it on the first time. And, I'm going to share something, even with our queens, the information, I'm learning this so quickly on the fly with Darren, with our queens. We know a lot of the stuff, but now when it comes to teaching it, it's a different ball game. And to be able to get to a point where you can explain it publicly is a whole other level. I have to go meditate, connect, clear, always stay in connection to be able to keep bringing in this higher vibrational information. So democracy. Okay, quick Cole's notes. Here we go. It means majority rules. Now everyone's like, yeah, that sounds good. It's a trap, loved ones. Why is it a trap, Darren?
Because the membership to play in this game still requires the surrendering of your fundamental rights given to you by the creator.
You have to still give that up. Your inheritance to be a player, to enter the matrix, even under that sounds so good, it's still a hindrance for us, because what ends up happening now, what we do is we now elect or vote for someone to come in. Everyone's like, go get your vote in. Come on now. We know better. Our votes have not been counting for much of anything as of late, and probably for quite some time. And so things have been manipulated in the background. So as a result, we end up giving this one person all of this immense amount of power that makes all of our decisions. Conflict of interest here, massively, if that leader is not aligned with the light, big time.
And there have been a few in the past, but when I say few, probably 5, and that's about it. Out of all the others, that's an incredibly imbalanced scenario where something really needs to change. Something needs to be brought in that's much better, much more effective, much in touch with what it is that man and womankind is trying to do at this point in life. So again, when we start talking about equality and equity and equalism here right away, I'm going to start expanding more on this equalism thing, because it's an incredible little mind seed that is going to really start to open some doors for us conceptually. So at least we can start to visualize some of these new things that I'm talking about, because without the visuals, we're still kind of in the dark.
And we're finding our way. This is a unbeaten path. It's narrow. It's got branches, and you got to go around things, and they poke at you, and it makes you stretch and uncomfortable. You're like, I just want to juice box. But you have to understand it. We have to just keep moving through this. And one thing that this whole little jabby and this little bug flying around right now, supposedly, has taught us is we don't have a lot of rights. And now that we're starting to unravel this whole puzzle, it's because we gave away those rights to another corporation, and we're a corporation, and now we're just an employee to that corporation. Oh, that's not good. That's really not good. So another equity recap here. Because who and what they represent are fictions, this is why we lost our rights. This is when you joined the club. And as an employee, look at the little guy. He's like, oh no, because your voice and say is no longer relevant or required. Sad, but true. Another quick recap, and Darren loves the equalism, so we'll get him to talk about this one.
So where we are moving with this equalism, as the title implies, we have to change fundamentally, or we have to change some basic things that are happening in the background and in the foreground to get this world to operate or be more livable. Because the way things are, this is just getting so out of control. Something big is about to happen. So what we're going to do here, what we're talking about, is removing all these political obstacles that are put here in place to just slow things down so that other greedy people can get their hands in the cookie jar. And by the time that's all done, there's nothing left. So we got to get the control or the power back into the hands of the people that were meant to have it. Again, as the Declaration of Independence for the United States suggests, we the people. Well, it started out as we the people, but that kind of gets skewed when we, the people, become the one. And it's when that one doesn't really regard the voice of the people anymore, because it's these lawyers and these bankers that are just doing and passing these laws that suit themselves. It's all about controlling the people, the innocent people that are just busting their ass every day, doing the best they can with what they have. And unfortunately, it's nothing compared to what these elites have. And this is why this whole power structure has to be revamped. This whole thing has to go. So we're basing equalism really on an equity maxim, which is equity is a sort of equality. Now, keyword here being sort as in organized. Equity is sort of organizing equality. These two things are very close in definition to each other. It means we're talking about rights, we're talking about liberties, we're talking about freedoms, we're talking about happiness, we're talking about joy, we're talking about all these fantastic things. Let's divide all that up equally so that everybody has at least the same chance out the door. And it's going to be an incredible chance at something incredible compared to what we're coming from. What we're coming from, believe it or not, in my opinion, I mean, yeah, I know some other countries are worse, but you know what? None of us have it very good at all. At all.
We just thought we did.
We thought we did, but there is so much more room for improvement here. And again, it takes certain people with certain levels of knowledge and wisdom who understand certain things to finally stand up and say, okay, we're here to take over. And essentially, you know what, loved ones, that's exactly what we're doing. We're literally taking over. In the background, though, not publicly. Publicly, they won't know who we are. They won't know who you are. But you'll have the opportunity to pick up the phone and call your attorney general and say, hey, Jim, yeah, I saw this on the news. Yeah, we got to do something about that. Done. So, more of the recap here. The 10 Commandments are almost maxims. They're more powerful than maxims, I would say, but maxims and commandments are very comparable. So we had the basic 10 Commandments laid down by, a finger carving it in stone for all of us to share and enjoy. And if you follow these rules properly, we weren't really going to have a lot of problems.
And keep in mind, we got these commandments after our asses were saved by him already. He got us out and went, okay, men, women, children, I'm not going to overwhelm you, 10 commandments. If you just do these commandments, milk and honey.
So,
but we didn't.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We didn't. As a matter of fact, the evil Satan Caesar system actually uses the commandments against us. They actually trick us into breaking a bunch of these rules. So now if we're breaking these rules, we're not worthy of these rules. And we get put into a different category. And that category is not pretty. So in conjunction or with the commandments, they have what they call maxims of equity. Maxims of equity are extensions of the commandments. There's about 20 maxims, and we're going to talk about those here in a little bit.
Excellent. Wow, you did so good on that one. Okay, so we probably ruffled a few little feathers yesterday. We started talking about marriages. I don't even think we've fully ruffled all the feathers we're going to ruffle as a result of releasing this information. And this one has been dropping us hints about this. And this information now finally started to get clearer. So the marriage certificate explained is, if we are all of the sea, so we all know this, we are not of the land. They tricked us to send us out to sea. So we're all commercial vessels. Then our marriages are contracts, which we've learned the version of that in our Crayon vocabulary. So that means they're only valid when we act as the person and we're on the boat.
So what this is trying to say is that we've all been tricked. And this isn't just marriages, loved ones. This is everything we've ever signed after the social insurance number application. Everything we sign after that, it's you representing the state or the government, or you expressing an interest in governing, you expressing an interest in the liability that government has. So this trick applied to every piece of paper, every contract, every agreement, everything we've ever done. So these contracts that we are swearing before God, that we're actually not, believe it or not, it's because we've actually put on this insulation layer where the contract now can't see the man or woman behind it. It can only see this person or this Halloween costume that we're wearing at all times, 24/7. None of us ever take this thing off before we go to bed or when we wake up in the morning. We don't actually go into our closet and grab our person and put our person on.
Zip it up. I mean, we do that to give you an illustration.
Yeah, we're trying to paint a picture here, but literally none of us ever unzip that suit, which is why it feels like it's hard to breathe sometimes. Yeah, it's because you're in a body bag. Literally. We're being controlled.
So though, I mean, granted, the men and women who did get married, it's not that your love is in question here. It's the means in which you did it. We thought we were doing it before Father, but it was actually before Satan and the state. It is you, your wife, and the state. That's why the actual province or the state gave you a certificate saying, yes, that event happened in our little matrix.
Yeah, so they actually have now a part claim to your marriage, or they
A
can
part claim.
they
What
can
does that
actually they
mean?
can get involved in your marriage. They can have a say in your marriage. They can say that they can actually tell you what you can and cannot do in your marriage. And as we're seeing, what the state is trying to tell us to do in all of our marriages, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And who's suffering here the most? The children. So that's why we are developing these programs again, so that they're going to be children friendly, so that they can actually understand, so that they can start to hear some of these words, so that they can start to speak and feel and be some of the things it is that we are teaching here.
Because they're going to resonate with this, loved ones. When they hear equity, they might not know what that word means, but they're going to know what it stands for. Equity is what we have been seeking and looking for our whole lives. And this was beautiful. Darren channeled this in today when he said, equity has feelings. It's alive. Do you want to talk about that, please?
Well, if they are opposing systems, if the legal at law, common law system is contrary to equity, these two things actually do not like each other. As a matter of fact, when you start researching them and when you start going back into the case histories and this, that, and the other, and you start seeing the comments from judges about each other, going back almost 1,000 years, you can see how equity and the common law actually don't like each other a whole lot. So if the common law, at law, public system is what we call a dead fiction system, what's the opposite of dead? Well, it's going to be alive. So if we have a dead system and an alive system, dead systems don't have any feelings. Does it make sense that the live system would? Yes, absolutely. So is this not really kind of trying to tell us, hey, equity, this thing we call equity, it is the older, wiser version of ourselves with Christ. It's spiritual. Equity and spirit, I'm going to suggest, are the same thing.
Feel that. We say that a lot, loved ones. So feel this. This is new information. You have nothing to relate this to because any energy, there's no foundation to put it on.
No, not at all. Because again, as we've mentioned in the past, if you go to church on Sunday, you will never, ever hear your pastor, minister, preacher, priest talk about equity. Ever. The one in a blue moon, maybe, but if you asked him, what does that mean? His response is going to be, well, it means equality for everybody. That's the go-to answer. That's as deep.
Sounds like.
That's as deep as an answer as they've got.
And that's why we went deeper for you, loved ones. How do we define this? Okay. Well, here, it has feelings. It's alive. It connects you with your higher self and with the Christ energy. Okay. This is the thing about spirit, is our helpers haven't given up on us.
No, they're trying to save us. Again, that's their full-time job. They knew that we were such a valuable commodity. They knew that we were so valuable.
We were still special, even though we screwed up.
That they, the angels, etc., are always all around us to try to help us. They're trying to point us in the better direction, give us a little nudge when we need it. This is always happening because, again, why? Because Satan and Caesar's system is so complete. It is so good. Nobody would have ever stumbled onto all of this. They were such good magicians, and they were so good at everything that they did. We had to level the playing field a little bit. So the good guys send in other good guys to always be whispering something in your ear everywhere. You'll hear it every now and then.
Or lightning bolts.
So
you don't listen.
Oh, you'll get a little tingle. You'll want to go do something, and some little voice will tell you, no, don't do that.
Or you keep thinking of something over and over.
And you literally would turn around and not do what you were about to do. That little voice, that's your spirit guides. That's equity. That's the Christ consciousness trying to help us.
You better start tapping into it, dialing in that channel. You ain't getting to equity without it. You think this is a thing. You can't get to 5D being 3D. If you can't hear equity, how can you walk through the doors? How do you qualify? This is where we're going to take you. And this is why spirit and equity are the same thing. Equity is just a means in which spirit to move through and work through. And then it finds meat suits that actually listen once in a while, that will channel the information up, buffer it, change it, stall.
And then take that energy and actually go apply it. Go do something with it. You don't just sit on it.
And we're going to be getting to that as far as a maxim coming down the pipeline for that. So what does the scripture say about equity? So this was a big learning thing for me when I first met Darren. I'm like, Kate, equity, where's this even coming from? He's like, well, Jody, it's in the Bible. I'm like, it's in the Bible. What? Well, here's the thing. It's in certain Bibles and it's been removed from others. Interesting. So you have to kind of go back, and the further you go back, the more equity is used. I always like to look at words they start removing, especially ones they start completely giving a new meaning to. So here's the thing, loved ones. Equity is mentioned 10 times in the King James Bible, 22 times in total for all translations added together. This is what we are realizing as divergence, is that the word equity is slowly being removed from the Bible and also law. This is why it took these brothers so long to figure out this puzzle, is because when they're removing words and putting new words in that have a completely different meaning, you just spiral.
It was a very interesting go. I mean, again, it was interesting how I'm the guy that didn't graduate high school. Dean's the guy that dropped out of university after his second year when he had incredible marks. He could have went on to been some kind of special type of accountant or math engineer or something of this nature. But it took the two of us and others to finally start to decode and decipher all this stuff, where, you know, we'd be on the job site building a house, and this is all the stuff that we would talk about all day for 10 years. Which is why when Dean finally came public and he started talking about this stuff, this was a whole other language. Nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. But Dean and I did, and a few others, because we'd already spent so long researching all this stuff. So, okay, I got away with not doing a lot of homework in school. As a matter of fact, I never did my homework in school, but I sure paid the price for it now, because now I had to do 10 times the amount of work. So it's kind of funny how karma still will get you. So why is this important? The word equity is slowly being removed from the Bible and the laws, Jody has just suggested. And this is why we were talking about communism here for the last couple of days. Communism is the complete removal of equity.
All of it.
All of it. All gone.
No chance.
No.
Some literally miracles have to fall from heaven for these loved ones. So we have to make miracles happen.
So these countries are going to need extra attention here right away. And of course, the light is going to shine in the darkest places first. Doesn't that make sense? Well, it does to me. So Jesus said, you know, and I would agree, he's going to be ruling with it. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Darren always used to say this, that, hey, Jody, well, when Jesus comes back, he's going to be ruling with equity. Again, never heard of this concept before. Well, let's read about it.
So Psalms 98:9. In this particular version of the Bible, before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. Okay, so who's coming to judge the earth? We know it's Christ himself, herself. It's that energy coming back. Judge the earth with righteousness. Okay, we know what that is. That's the opposite of badness. And he shall judge the world and the people with equity. Does it say he's going to judge the world with common law? No. Does it say he's going to judge the law with corporate law? No. Does he say he's going to judge the world with the law of the dead? Especially not that one.
Public law.
No. This is one of 10 scriptures that have some incredibly profound impact. This is one of them. There's another one. Proverbs 1:3, also in King James Version. To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. So what this is suggesting is all those words are synonymous. They all mean the same thing.
They're all positive.
Now, to receive all of these things, you got to be able to understand the instruction. That's the dictation we were talking about. When they give you a big book full of stuff, it's up to us now to go do a little bit of work, to go understand, or we got to get our head in that book to try to really pick apart, okay, where is the instruction? What is it? Many in the past have come up with their versions of what the Bible is instructing us to do. Very few of them have actually figured it out to the point where they were able to actually make a profound change on the world, the planet Earth as we know it. We are that group. And I don't mean limited to just Divergence here. I know there are a lot of other loved ones out there in similar groups doing similar things, doing similar Zoom meetings, talking about the same kind of stuff. Us sharing the same vibration. This isn't just me and Dean and a handful of others.
So why do we need two systems, loved ones? Why do we need the legal system? If we know now what we've given away and what we could have, why are we going to keep volunteering for it?
Well, and as a matter of fact, this is exactly right. Actually, we don't need two systems. The result or the reason we have two systems is so that those who do not do system one properly, they have to have somewhere to go.
That's all of us.
Oddly enough, it's all of us.
Please reroute here.
We literally all step into, or we walk through the other door. We didn't walk through the door we were supposed to. So with our teachings and with what we're trying to lay down and the love that we're trying to promote and provide and show people, you know, we're trying to suggest, hey, once we all clean ourselves up, once we all deal with our person properly, once all the parties are happy, we're actually not going to need the legal system anymore. Lawyers are going to find themselves out of a job here pretty soon when I get my way.
And we'll be talking about that coming up.
But that's okay, because there's lots of garbage to be picked up out there. Lots. And, you know, there's cups and plastic in the ditches. There's lots of stuff for everybody. Everyone's going to be so busy doing stuff.
Busy. Okay, so if we're going to be replacing the law system with equity, we have to base it on certain commandments, principles, rules. So what is equity going to base that on?
And these are the maxims. There's 20 of these. There's a little more, but those little more type maxims, they are not as powerful. You got the odd one that's got
extra two.
Yeah, there's a few that's like, oh, that one's kind of neat. But really, loved ones, there's 20. We only really need to know 20 of these things.
So let's get into the red version of what maxims of equity is all about. So Darren, please explain that.
So a maxim is a term used for the rules and principles that have been accepted and recognized as they are reasonable and fair. I'm going to actually add to that. No. Okay, reasonable and fair, and they've been around a very long time. They just didn't spring up in our generation. No. These things have been here for, I almost want to say, forever. These are the principles that are essentially passed down to us as creator to say, here, this is the code book. This is how you do it. Now go have fun.
So we are changing equity and equality a little here, loved ones, because look at the picture. If we gave the same amount to every single person, our Canadian government did that for children of the same age. Every child got $100 a month. Universal child care benefit. It didn't matter if you're a millionaire or whether you were on the street and you had a child. That just doesn't make sense. So it's about evening, first of all, the playing field, and then making it even.
And really, what does leveling the field actually mean? I'm going to suggest that everything just needs the appropriate amount of energy to spark its life, or to spark it so that it can move forward and make progress. Whatever that looks like, everything should be given enough love and energy so that it has the best chance it can do.
Also known as a reset.
So yeah,
talked about that.
So this is why that reset it's happening.
So the orange version of it is their legal maxims. Darren, we've been getting some questions about this in our Telegram chat. Is equity legal?
Absolutely not.
Wrong.
Equity and legal are oil and water. They are two separate different things. One's for the dead, one's for the living.
This is what they want us to believe, though. So again, equity does apply to the law, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But understand that the legal system was built on fraud. Equity is built on truth. You got to remember there's two systems. There was what you were born with, and then what we signed up for. One's fake, one's real. I have to plug that in. Hold on. All right, keep talking, please.
So we have the legal system where everyone's acting in character. They're all playing a game. They're all on stage. They're all participating in a Hollywood production. They're all reading their scripts. They're all taking directions from the director. They got props, and they got property masters, and they got lighting guys, and they got gaffers, and they got scenic artists, and they got carpenters. The whole system is designed to build a movie set just for your life.
So you have to envision equity is massive. And here's the law. It's like, here's the sun. Okay, the sun's equity. Here's the earth. The earth is law. There's a huge, massive comparison because equity is God's law. It's the granddaddy. It's the poobah. So the Crayon version of it is
simple rules or processes that govern or control everything.
Equity controls it all. Law, we think controls it all. No.
Not at all. And I'll explain that one just a little bit deeper in a second. They are created in kindness and are meant for the reality of our lives, not for corporations and dead things. So what I was going to suggest here is maxims and equity are not legal. We get this question every once in a while, though, and I'm just going to talk about this. There's one maxim out there that says this: equity will follow the law. That's the whole maxim. Well, what do you mean equity follows the law? If equity follows the law, then doesn't that mean the law is in control? No. And here's why. Pretend equity is just floating above, keeping an eye on the legal system, just slightly behind it. Just keeping an eye on it to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. And the moment the legal system steps sideways, equity is there to smack it right back into place. So equity is only following the law to clean up the mess it makes.
It's used to keep legal in control.
Absolutely.
If we didn't have equity, Satan would have just absolutely ran his muck. We'd be all enslaved, no chance of getting out. We lost.
Yeah, I mean, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we would have lost.
So equity was our big brother. So it was in the background.
So again, this is where the spiritual battle comes from. Okay, so do I act in person and go do my job every day so I can feed my family? Or do I stay in equity and take a chance with all this kind of crazy stuff? What should I be doing? That's why this starts to like pick away at you while you're sleeping.
It's like sitting on the fence, but you got to pick a side.
Yeah, it's like, well, what the hell? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Well, again, that's why some of us are trying as hard as we are, as fast as we can, to get us the results that we're looking for immediately so that we can end the suffering.
So let's talk about these equity maxims. What are they? Why do we at Divergence believe in them so much? Well, we already told you it's God's law. It's the commandments of equity. This is what's beautiful about. They're the guiding principle of what we stand for and are going to uphold: justice, fairness, uprightness. There's 20, like Darren mentioned. And we are going to take you, loved ones, through each and every one of them so that you understand when you're standing before a judge, when you can quote 3 or more of these. You need to be able to quote 3 or more of these.
Look how short these are. This little girl with the rainbow hands could actually regurgitate this stuff.
You can do it.
Yes, she could. And here's this. This is half of them. She doesn't need to actually know half. If little Susie here could actually only learn 3 of these things.
Again, you need 3 for the court. That's going to impress the judge. Here's another 10. We're not even going to read through them because we're going to be going through them. You're going to have this to be able to print off later. We're going to try and get through 5 of them.
We're going to start talking about the maxims as we go here more and more and more and more. They need to be integrated in because
you put it in your paperwork.
Because the maxims are literally the root of our power source. Without them, we're not standing on very much.
And like we said, judges love them.
Judges love maxims.
Love them.
Every time we whip maxims out in court, and every time our other loved ones have gone into court and started throwing maxims around,
Court candy.
the judge sometimes gets out and runs out of the court.
They love it.
Not that that's a good thing, but there's a proper way of doing this so that the judge actually becomes our friend. We're not supposed to be afraid of the judges. Hollywood wants us to be afraid of the judges. But you know what? When you're a good guy or a good girl and you're trying to do good things and help other people for good reasons, do you think the judges are going to be mean? No. The judges are only mean because you and we are the ones committing fraud when we walked into his or her courtroom.
They're talking to lunatics, wards, infants all day. They're irritated. No kidding. Some of them are a little grouchy. Hey, we get it.
So this is one of the maxims. Look at this. It's 3 words long.
4.
Is A a word?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Equity abhors a forfeiture.
Abhors.
What does that mean?
Doesn't even feel that word.
Yeah, that word abhors. I don't know. That just okay. Well, this is what the maxim's talking about. In fairness and good conscience, a court of chancery or equity. Anytime you see the word chancery, it means equity. So a court of chancery will refuse to permit an unreasonable forfeiture. Well, what's a forfeiture? A forfeiture is a total loss. Loss, gone. Maybe you hit it and you don't know where you hit it and you can't find it. And this thing's in the dark and you don't remember the 20 steps to the right and then crawl, stagger. If anyone's seen Yellowbeard, that's a pretty funny movie. And actually there's equity in that movie. But anyway, so a forfeiture is when we give something away when we shouldn't have. We only gave it away because we didn't know what the hell we were doing, right? When you're 16 years old, signing that piece of paper because you can't wait to get a job at McDonald's so you can go buy that brand new car. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a brand new car, but it'd probably be your first used car. The point is, we couldn't wait to get that number. Equity's looking at this whole process going, oh, you're heading down a slippery slope.
It's another connection. You know, the matrix, it's another cord to the matrix.
And those cords are there to suck your life energy right out of you, believe it or not.
They'll try to attach lots to you.
This might sound like something kind of silly that we're talking about, but you know what? There's nothing more serious in life than this. I've been chasing this stuff with a lot of people for a lot of years, and it takes incredibly special people to be able to do this stuff, to even sit here and listen to this stuff. You're special way more than you think you are. And someday that's going to become very apparent to you. And you're going to feel a lot different than you do right now. So we suggest hang in there.
So let's create on this for the kids. What this means is equity abhors a forfeiture. It means equity knows we never would have parted with our God-given inheritance if we had our right mind. Do you notice it says that's an expression? No man in their right mind would do that. Right mind. Here I'm yelling again. Take notes. This is the soul side. This is the overdeveloped side.
A lot of love on that side.
Lots of love, lots of spirit on that side. So anyone who's in their right spiritual mind
would never do this.
Would never do this.
No. And
we were tricked.
We were tricked. It's like Halloween every day.
Every day.
You know, you go ding dong.
And we don't even get any candy.
No, you ding dong. They open the door and they throw an egg and the egg hits you in the face. Yeah. There, that's what you get every day. No thanks.
No treats.
No treats for you.
Sorry about that.
So the abhors part, abhors means, it literally means it
horrible.
It hates it. It's horrible.
It's disgust and hatred.
It's pretty powerful.
Like, I don't think it likes it.
Yeah. So
at all.
So equity hates it when you give everything away because you don't know what you're doing. Equity hates it. And equity's there in the background to help you whenever you're ready.
And to stick up for us.
And to stick up for us.
You have to remember that spirit, this higher dimensional energy, is seeing us in the mud, up, some of our loved ones, up to their necks.
Drowning.
No chance. Some who have their gumboots on. Some who are actually starting to get a little light in them. But equity realizes this is not fair for God's children. They were tricked. This is the thing. We don't know any better. You're not doing anything wrong if you don't know any better. But once you know better, then it's different. Now we know better. Now we're starting to tap into this energy and going, I don't know, there's something about this surname. So equity now swoops in because it knows the bankers, the lawyers, and we're adding a new group to this member list, the politicians, all of y'all. I have not seen many. There's a handful that I feel vibrationally or even
should be leaders.
Off with their heads, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll get to that another day. But this is a thing. When you are in trouble, you don't hear them talking about using equity to help you. You go to a lawyer, you go to a politician, you go to a banker and say, this is a situation, I'm about to lose my house. What do I do? Oh, so sorry.
They certainly do not use equity to try to help you. As a matter of fact, when you go to them pleading for mercy, they actually take more. They actually take more of your equity away.
And then you qualify for less.
It's terrible. And this is why man and womankind can no longer live under these conditions. There's about to be a big vibrational spiritual snap where something breaks and this whole world is about to change. And when I say soon, I'm talking months away. And not years, not decades, months, literally weeks away, that this something crazy is going to start happening. And it's not going to be one thing. It's going to be 100 things in a row. That's how much cool stuff is coming at all of us. Now, this is why we're suggesting we got to get a little bit ahead of this. Because if we situate ourselves or if we get ourselves in a good position for when the equity wave hits, we're going to be surfing all the way home. And we're going to be happy. And we're going to be full of love and joy. When was the last time you were happy and full of love and joy? Yeah, see, you can't even remember when.
So let's get into the vibration more of this equity and what it feels like to be under its rules. So number 2, equity will not suffer a wrong to be without a remedy. This is commonly used in paperwork. Loved ones.
So, okay, here, I'll just talk about this for 15 seconds before I give the red version. So what they're saying is equity will not allow something bad to be done without something good to be done that can fix it.
Well, that's nice.
There, how's that?
Very good. You just Crayon that.
So this must be a civil injury to the complainant's rights or interests, legal or equitable. Equity will not interfere in wrongs such as involving no question of property. Well, what did that just say? That just said you have to boil everything down to a property problem. As soon as you got a problem with property, and remember, property is land and land is everything. So literally, as long as you boil your problem down to a land or a property or an idea like this, now equity can help you.
So are you saying we're a land problem?
Well, yeah, land problem is not only things to do with houses and roads and grass and dirt, but land is also an idea in your mind.
Okay, so let's Crayon that. It means equity knows you're suffering. This is the thing, equity spirit, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. Give it a nickname if you want. But it knows that the game that we entered, everything was unfair.
And we couldn't win. Why play? How many of you love playing games you know you're going to lose? I actually don't like playing those games. I only like playing the games I know I'm going to win. And for some reason, as I grew up from being a little one, I took that very seriously. Sometimes that got me in trouble. Sometimes it got me out of trouble. But point is, equity, yes, it knows that we're all suffering and suffering badly. So I'm talking all the way to death.
Like we said, some loved ones don't even have a means of redemption or salvation anymore. We have to get our shit together. Bottom line. So here's this one explained a little bit more, because when I was talking to Darren about this, he channeled a whole bunch of extra little golden nuggets. So one of them was equity knows Satan and Caesar's trickeries and that we didn't have a chance. This is what's giving us a 1% glimmer of hope, loved ones. Give it respect.
Yeah, the game was so stacked against us. You would never, can you imagine never playing basketball in your life, and yet you by yourself want to go play against an entire NBA team by yourself? Who's going to win that one?
It's like the Monopoly game. At least you get to start with $200. Imagine if you weren't allowed to start with anything. Do you start? Do we start with $200 when you get born?
We start with debt.
Nothing.
Is it we start owing them $200? Not very good.
Horrible.
So because equity is about fairness, so it says, if you're going to do that to my chosen people, now this is God or creator talking about, the good people on earth. Okay, Satan and Caesar, if you're going to do that to my people,
my children,
the good people, then I'm going to build in an option.
Backdoor.
I'm going to build a back door into the game so that my children, if they ever find that door, and I'm going to do my best to make sure they do.
And I'm going to lead all my children that hear me to it.
And I'm going to ram them through that door, and it's going to happen fast. And when they come outside the other side of that door, they're going to be 10 times more powerful than they were just a minute ago.
Why would they be 10 times more powerful?
Because they're not acting in person. They're no longer acting as a dead thing. As soon as you start to follow the rules and be obedient and come back to life,
reborn.
And once you're reborn and you're actually living,
you're alive.
Literally compare it. It's a living man or woman compared to someone that's in the ground in a box.
So once you come alive, if you've got a zombie chirping at you,
yeah, zombies. No, this is why they make. This is why
sit down.
This is why the kids are going to love this. So like, oh, I know Call of Duty, and when I get to shoot the zombies, it's freaking cool. That is basically going to be what this is going to turn into. The legal persons are the zombies, and this world is already full of them. Zombies, literally, doing and saying and acting and behaving in a way that is very not what we were supposed to be doing. So here's the difference in real life, though. The zombies right now, they all have a chance to heal themselves. They have a chance to wake up. They have a chance to not being a zombie anymore if they want to.
But they can't control the living. They have no say when it comes to someone alive. They can't put things in your body. They can't make you pay things. They can't tell you how to drive.
They can't give you speeding tickets.
They can't tell you what to eat. They can't tell you what to wear, how you make your money. Nothing.
Now listen, that does not mean just because they can't give you speeding tickets, that does not mean you're going to go out in your car and you're going to drive 100 kilometers an hour or miles an hour over the speed limit. And when the sheriff or the police officer pulls you over, you're not going to say, well, equity says I can do it.
Yeah. And flipping the bird.
No,
Stop.
That's not how this works. If you want to know how to do that situation properly, this is how you do it. You call the police ahead of time and you say, hey, me and my buddies that all have our Lamborghinis, we need a certain section of the highway closed because we're going to rip it up.
Woo!
That might sound like bullshit, but I know people that have happened that they've actually done that. That is a thing. When you're on the good side of the fence, there's all kinds of rewards for us. It's a whole different lifestyle. So what I'm saying is we need to be careful with this new crazy superpower we got. You know, it's like when in the X-Men movies, you know, when Cyclops puts his special glasses on for the first time and he hits the button and he uses that laser and he starts cutting trees in half and he starts cutting buildings in half. Whoa. We got to get control of our laser. That's what these courses are doing, is teaching us how to use our superpowers properly.
We don't want you making a mess in the garden.
No.
If you go in there, start smashing trees and uprooting flowers and no,
Yeah.
You're going to go in spiritual timeout.
Yeah.
All right. So here's a summary real quick. Equity always has relief or remedy. You know, sometimes you go into court, how many people walk out pissed off, feeling like they just got robbed, that it was unjust, it's not fair? That will never happen in a court of equity.
No.
It won't. There's no forgiveness in legal. There's only forgiveness in equity. And not just for one party. Every party comes in and each one leaves happy. Imagine that.
It's the perfect system.
Okay. So moving on to the next one. Equity delights in equality.
So now, again, as we've talked about equalism, all right, like we're trying to go from democracies and communisms and all these isms. Well, if we're going to maintain the ism part of what we're doing, if you take equity and you take equality and you kind of put them together, you get something kind of called equalism. And that's what it is that we're shooting for right now.
It's the dividing of a common fund. It's that property is equally divided. Now we're back at equalism, what we were talking about yesterday. Everything flows, everything's even once the playing field is even. What'd you do?
Do you want to go back?
Mm-mm. So, Crayon version of equity delights in equality is that equity is happiest when you're happiest.
If you're not happy, equity's not happy too. If you're sad, so is equity.
If you feel gypped, equity's not happy. It wants to make it right.
And equity's waiting for you right now to wake up from our sleep and say, wait a minute, I've been acting in person my whole life. I've had a Halloween costume on my whole life. Nobody really knows who I am. How do we go and fix this problem now? Well, we're going to talk about that here real soon. So when we're not in person, we are with Christ, him and herself. Literally, take that suit, take that Halloween costume off. The moment you take it off, you've just restored something. You just got a lot cleaner.
Besties with Jesus.
You're literally a lot more valuable than you were 3 minutes ago. So if we can just daily now start practicing about, okay, when I go into a meditation, I'm going to remove my person, literally in your mind, step out of your person suit, fold it up, put it on the table. Now sit down and do your meditation. Clear yourself even of that energy.
Or even before you go to bed.
Before you go to bed, when you wake up, you can wake up and think while you're brushing your teeth, ha ha ha, I'm not in person yet. Shit, but work starts in an hour and I guess I will be then. Whatever. At least you know when you're not acting in person. So this way, what I'm getting at, loved ones, is when a cop asks you for your identification, you can say, ha ha, I'm not acting in person. You might even still be brushing your teeth.
Number 4, one who seeks equity must do equity. What does that mean?
Okay, so that means if you want all these awesome equity things, you got to be doing equity to get it. Equity is waiting for you. Equity is waiting for you to get up off the couch and actually start doing this stuff. And so what it's saying is that for the remedies that are equitable that we're seeking here right away, we got to start doing equity right now to get those remedies.
So we have lots of loved ones who've heard about what we're doing. And they're going, oh, well, that's nice. We'll just see how it goes. We're back to that. That's nice. Well, I'm just going to keep doing my life and you carry on. I'm wishing you all the best with that. Equity just shakes their heads at those ones. Those are the ones that are just not even looking for greener pasture. So when we actually crayon this, what this maxim is saying, loved ones, when it says one who seeks equity must do equity, it means we have to stop acting and we have to clean our hands.
And again, the whole acting thing might sound like we're taking it over the top a little bit. We're being a little bit dramatic with this, but we're not. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're not being dramatic enough, because here's why. Really, to consider this for just a moment. How can you be who you are and be acting as your character at the same time? See, it falls apart right there. You have to literally, there's two. You have to pick one. You can't be both. Can Clark Kent jump over tall buildings? No, but he can as Superman. Okay, so what would happen if Clark Kent jumps off of a building without his Superman suit? Do we actually even know? Well, we know Marvel would have, of course, Superman can't die, but you see what I'm trying to say here. Be one or the other. The more you're in person, the farther you are away from everything it is that you really, truly want to be.
The garden is clean, loved ones.
The garden's very clean.
We're filthy. We need a bath.
As a matter of fact, we probably
bubble baths are coming.
We actually need several baths.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you actually need a jackhammer to start chipping stuff off of you first. That's how this suit or this Halloween costume.
Skin scrapers.
Yeah, like seriously, like you know.
Yeah. We need some nice essential oils.
But you know what?
Loosen that up.
Okay, if you were to take off this suit and go throw it in mom's washing machine when she doesn't know and go do a cycle with this suit, mom's going to be pissed. Why? Because you got mom's washing machine full of filth.
So bad.
Now mom's got to go clean the washing machine. Yeah, do that. If you do that, you better run. Run to your friend's house and just stay away for 2 or 3 days.
Number 5, our final one. Equity aids the vigilant, not those who slumber on their rights.
Okay, so let's just look at the image here real quick. Equity aids the vigilant, not those who slumber on their rights. So on this little picture here with this family, who is actually sleeping? Who has their equitable rights right now? Well, I'd say the children do. Because they're saying, Mom, Dad, we want pancakes.
Hello.
And mom and dad are sleeping. So if you're sleeping on your rights, you don't get the pancakes.
And that's the whole green version of this is stay busy, loved ones. If this is turning you on, activating you, giving you tingles, giving you angel bumps, goosies, whatever you want to call it, keep going.
You'll start to feel your wings. You'll actually start flying around in your dreams more. Your dreams are going to start to change as you start to understand what the hell it is we're talking about here. That is a fact. That is a question that I ask everybody that I start introducing them to equity, because I actually keep track of that because I find that fascinating. And now all of a sudden you're more powerful in your dreams. So if you're more powerful in your dreams, are you not more powerful in your real life the next morning? Do you not kind of feel better for some reason? Yeah. So keep going.
Even if your friends and family tell you not to. Because here's the thing. They're lunatics, idiots, wards,
belligerents, enemies.
Don't even worry about it. You have to realize it's not about comparing yourself. It's just realizing this is where they are, and the only way they're going to learn it is from you.
So this is why
they made a soul contract with you. So soul agreement. I don't want to ever say that word again. They made a soul agreement with you. So when you are aligning yourself to the energies of this, again, don't be going and smashing your card into them. That's not the point of this. The point is for your family to look at you and go, what are you doing?
Why are you so happy?
Why are you glowing?
Why
You're losing weight?
Why does it feel like
great?
Why does it feel like you just climbed a mountain? Why are you smiling so much? You're usually all depressed and all weird and shit.
Let them come to you.
What's going on?
I can guarantee you're already the black sheep of the family. Let them all of a sudden go, wow, you might be black, but you're sure sparkly.
Angel dust.
Yeah. Make them look. And then don't jam it down their throat, because here's the thing. As soon as you do that, you're saying that they're broken. And they're wrong.
And you're better.
They're sheep. Stop even using that terminology.
And then, and you're better than them. So that's why when you get to a point where you are actually able to start teaching equity to others, you spiritually are making so much progress. Creator's looking down at you and goes, oh, there's one. Look at that job she's doing. Look at how she's talking to that 2 or 3 people. Look at the beautiful words she's using. And look at how she's not feeling attacked when they don't believe her. And look at how she's standing her ground. And look at how she still walks away from that exchange just as charged and powerful, and she's smiling. And look at, that's a different woman all of a sudden. Now, what if this happened to that same woman 5 times in one day? By the end of the day, she comes home, she throws her purse on the kitchen table. She doesn't even want the beautiful dinner her husband made her. She just wants to go to bed because she just got rocked. Her whole day has never been like this before. So you're going to want to start sleeping more is another byproduct of this. There's so much processing going on. You literally got to turn the motor off for a little while.
Take naps.
So you're going to turn the motor off for a little while so you can go in your dreams and be flying around more. Does that sound like you're actually taking a break? Nope. But this is where the healing comes in, loved ones. We're not making this shit up. This is real.
So don't let any 3D influences, excuses, lies, deceit, fear, any of that lower vibrational energy, don't let it stop you from chasing equity. Don't let it stop you from showing up here. If you can't make it on the live ones, watch it in your spare time. Listen to it over and over again. It has a frequency. Like we say, it's like music. And as we start putting this music now onto forms, and you start realizing, I know what this is.
So when the judge starts singing, you're going to know why.
He's got a big smile on his or her face.
I've seen judges with big smiles on their faces, and it kind of blew my law. I was wearing one of those jail jumpsuits, so I was going to say it blew my pants off. So it literally blows you away because it is so impressive when you start seeing judges acting with love and compassion. Because again, like I said at the beginning of the show, we're so afraid of judges because we think that they're out to get us, and we think that they're only out to throw us in jail. They're only doing that because they know we're the ones committing fraud. All of us. It's a terrible thing, but we're going to fix it.
You need terrible to get to good.
Well, there you go. Yeah, right. A little bit of demolition to get to construction. We gotta
Make some room.
We gotta make some room. We gotta knock that old house down because what we got coming is pretty fantastic. So this is why as a builder, I know how important it is to build a good, strong, straight foundation. I actually always build my foundations above code. Code is just the basic minimum requirement of doing something so that it's remotely safe. I look at that as a starting point. I go from there and build better, bigger, heavier duty from there. Everything I touch, Dean gets pissed at me all the time for doing it. And I've been doing it for 30 years. So I'm not going to change. That's just who I am.
All right, loved ones. So this is going to conclude our episode for this week. Tomorrow is going to be questions and answers. So again, if you do have questions, please crayon them. Make my job easier. Okay, so, and if it is too advanced, we will be moving it to our week where we'll be covering more of that information.
Yeah, so yeah, all we're suggesting here is that we're just not going to talk about it in the crayon segment of the course.
We'll get to it.
When we get to the orange section of the course and then the red section of the course, and by the time you're in the red section, it's nothing but. Actually, crayon's not really even in those episodes, right? So that we're building, we're getting there. It's coming.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So thank you so much for showing up, loved ones. And again, our queens will have the links and the document in our chat here, and of course on our Telegram and Facebook channels.
Stay vigilant, loved ones. Want those pancakes.
We love you. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye, everybody. Love you.